We've got brand new leaks about Marvel's plans for the Tom Holland Spider-Man character in the MCU. Wait until you hear what Kevin Feige has planned.
It's like the news, but for nerds.
Today's shout out goes to Mason Edwards. Indeed, The Wolf of Wall Street is the movie from which Tom Holland clipped to announce on Instagram that he was staying in the MCU. And also, you're totally right about me neglecting to talk about the other Marvel movie, but we will get to that in this video. Make sure you stay to the end of this video where we will ask another nerd card question. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday to you. I am Josh, and welcome back to the show. And man, oh man, the hits just keep on coming. Before we get into these crazy leaks about Spider-Man's next two movies in the MCU, I want to tell everybody that I'm actually going to be at New York Comic-Con this weekend. So if you're going to be at New York Comic-Con and you're a fan of the channel, hit me up. I'll be doing a ton of cool stuff, including some press and a lot of networking, but I'd love to just meet up with some of you guys and just chat about nerdy things. Follow the Den of Nerds on Instagram or Twitter, or follow me on my personal Instagram and shoot me a DM. Okay, so let's get into these MCU leaks, and these are all coming from notorious Marvel leaker Mikey Sutton. And for the record, I know there's some conflict within the fan base on whether or not Mikey Sutton is legit or not, whether or not his leaks can be trusted. I will just say from my own personal research that I've done, maybe he's not actually scooping stuff. Like, I could see where people are getting that idea from, but the information itself tends to seem really accurate. So I'm gonna talk about what this guy is saying. But always take this stuff with a big old grain of salt. A lot of these leakers out there are hearing secondhand information. They have sources, and although a lot of it tends to point us in the direction of what is happening, it can also be not exactly true. Okay, so having said that, I'm gonna put up the Reddit post which broke down all of Mikey's leaks with regards to the next two Spider-Man movies in the MCU. And here's the important points. They are now moving forward with the script. The Chameleon is said to be the main antagonist, and the film will deal with identity, and it will be one of the darker films. Mikey is saying that he thinks Marvel is looking at this as the darkest chapter in the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy, and it will really deal with his identity and self and some really mature themes. And the last piece of really juicy news in this leak is that Jennifer Walters, aka SheHulk, will cameo in this film as perhaps a lawyer for Peter Parker. Okay, so now let's break down a little bit more and speculate about what this could all mean. Okay, so the first thing that jumps out to me is the fact that this film will be the darker take and the darkest one in the trilogy makes total and complete sense to me. Even Far From Home was a little bit darker than Homecoming, and as Peter matures and as the world around him matures, it just makes sense that we would be going in a more mature and dark direction. And also, kind of a side note here, but it just kind of makes sense that we would be going darker given the fact that Peter's identity is given out at the end of Far From Home, and he is framed for all of the London attacks. So really, Peter is painted in a pretty bad light at the end of that film, and so it makes sense that this next movie having to deal with that fallout would be more mature and more dark. And I'm just so damn grateful that now Feige will actually be able to finish up that story, because like that would have been really weird to go from that to a completely Sony controlled next film with Tom Holland Spider-Man. I'm just not seeing how that would have worked, so I'm really grateful that this deal is back on. Also, given the fact that Chameleon may be the antagonist and they're going to deal with identity, this just totally fits not only with the darker tone and the more mature kind of thing, but it totally fits with where Peter Parker is at because his identity is out there and he's essentially being framed. So if Chameleon is really in the film and pretending to be Peter Parker or Spider-Man or both, it's really going to cause all this chaos for Peter and just be really difficult to deal with. And now let's talk about Chameleon for a little bit here. It's very strange to me that they might go in this direction because there were a lot of rumors that Chameleon was going to be the main antagonist of Far From Home. In fact, there were a lot of leaks that came out suggesting that Nick Fury was not actually going to be Nick Fury in this film, but was going to be revealed to be Chameleon. And there's a character called Dimitri that is literally an SHIELD agent working with Nick Fury and Maria Hill, who obviously turn out to be the Skrulls, but the point remains that Dimitri character is in the movie. And Dimitri is the name of the Chameleon from the comic book. So could this guy actually end up being the Chameleon? And what I think is really dope is the fact that he was around the Skrulls so much makes it so that maybe he will take some of the technology from the Skrulls, or maybe some of their DNA or something, and then when working with maybe some of the members of the Sinister Six, he changes himself into the Chameleon. And I love that MCU version of stuff, how the MCU can take things and sort sort of make it all flow together, much like how the Infinity Stones became the catalyst for Scarlet Witch in the MCU. And though they could reveal her to be a mutant either way, I just love how they tie their canon together. And it would totally make sense if this Dimitri character, being so close to the Skrulls and not realizing it, or maybe he did realize it, either way, that character with that insight becoming the Chameleon via the Skrulls with their tech or their DNA, beautiful stuff. I love it. And lastly, there's the whole She-Hulk angle. I mean, this is so cool for so many different reasons. We had heard that Peter Parker might need a lawyer now that he got thrown under the bus and had his identity, revealed and he's being framed. It would make sense that he would need a lawyer. And the fact that we know we're getting the She-Hulk show, this all just really makes a lot of sense. I think Jennifer Walters showing up in the next Spider-Man movie would be brilliant, a brilliant way to introduce her and then go into her solo series on Disney+. And then she could potentially even show up in an Avengers film. Like, that is just a really nice way to use this next Spider-Man film. So I absolutely love that Jennifer Walters is rumored to be having a cameo be introduced in the Spider-Man third part of the trilogy. Okay, now let's talk about this other Spider-Man movie and Mason Edwards' comments on yesterday's video, because it's totally true. Like, I was so wrapped up in the fact that we're wrapping up the third of the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy that I forgot to mention that, yes, there's another movie in this arrangement, that there's gonna be a second Marvel movie that Spider-Man is attached to, and this is a huge deal. Now let's talk about what the second movie could be in this new contract. A lot of people were pointing out that it seemed like there was plans to put Spider-Man in the Captain Marvel sequel. Now, the rumors out here was that this was to give likability to the Captain Marvel character, to perhaps get fans to, buy into that character a little bit more, and, some cool interactions that she could have with Peter from a character standpoint could bring her around, make her be a little bit more funny, a little less wooden, and a little less just stout commando, which is what we see, at the end of Captain Marvel and in Endgame. And I'm all for that. I think it functions. I think it could play, but I gotta be honest, if we only get one more Spider-Man movie, I feel like it needs to be an Avengers movie. I feel like you need to have Tom Holland in the Avengers movie. And guys, remember, my crazy theory that is seeming more real each day, the fact that Phase 4 has this secret third year, which would be Captain Marvel 2, Black Panther 2, and then an Avengers film. Man, if that's really the case, then it's gotta be the Avengers film. You gotta have Spidey in the Avengers film. And technically they could do a thing like they did with Captain America 3, Civil War, where it's like an Avengers 4.5 before the Avengers movie. That could play, but I need him involved with something big in Avengers, and I kind of want it to be just its own Avengers movie, which should actually have Captain Marvel and Black Panther and Spider-Man. I mean, that just completely makes sense that the new cast of Avengers, whether they're the official Avengers or sort of the secret Avengers where the Dark Avengers are propped up, either way you need that cast and crew together for the next Avengers movie. And so that is the news out there. Crazy leaks for Marvel's plans for the Tom Holland Spider-Man movie now that the Marvel Sony deal has been figured out and we're getting 2 more MCU Spider-Mans at the very least. It looks like they're moving to scripts, and these are the leaks and rumors about what Feige wants to do with the Spider-Man character with those 2 films. Let me know your thoughts about any and everything that has to do with these leaks and the potential other movie that Spider-Man could be in. And now let's check the nerd card before we get out of here. Now, Kevin Feige said in a statement on Friday that Spider-Man was the only superhero to have the superpower to swing between cinematic universes. But we all know there's actually one other character that may well have this power. What other character could seemingly be jumping from one cinematic universe to the MCU? Answer that question in the comment section below. So again, guys, I just want to remind everybody, I'm going to be at New York Comic Con this weekend. Hit me up on social media if you're there, you want to meet up, or hit me up if there's something you want me to check out for you and do some coverage. Going to be recording from the floor, so this week will be a little bit weird with videos, but I promise you'll be getting a ton of content. And I also want to mention we are so dang close to 100,000 subscribers. It's a really big deal. I feel like I'm going to do some kind of Q&A or something. I want to do something special for all the subscribers once we hit 100K. So let me know what you're thinking. If you have some ideas for a 100K thing, I'm open to any suggestions. So let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.